Just waiting for a few people to get around. If you are seeing this for the first time, just click ahead a couple minutes to the start, as always. I am not seeing YouTube comments, but to me, honestly, that's okay. Because I'm not really doing this for the commenters. Sorry. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves if you'd like, but this video is going to be without that distraction. Actually, kind of a serious topic here, believe it or not. I came home today, saw a quick 5-minute clip on Fox News, and wanted to do a commentary bad enough to go to this trouble. So here it is. I'm not sure if the cops are just playing dumb, or if they truly don't know. Either way, I'm going to respond and let them know. Going to inform them why it is we do what we do as activists, and why we are completely indifferent to when they are injured or killed on the quote-unquote job. Here we go.
Fox News alert: tragedy striking in Wisconsin overnight. Police identifying the fallen officer who was shot and killed executing a search warrant in Milwaukee as 35-year-old Matthew Ritt.
Okay, sorry about the pausing. Don't know why that's happening. Too much load on the CPU. I don't know what's going on. What a drag, huh? Let's just do it this way. How's my... Oh, it's not showing. Cool. Here.
Rittner, who's being held a hero, is now the 7th officer to be killed in the line of duty in 2019, the 3rd in Milwaukee. Here now to discuss is our law enforcement panel. Down screen left, we've got Chief Rich Busby with the New York State Association of Police Chiefs. Pat Colligan, Center Square, president of the New Jersey State PBA. And screen right, you got New York City Police Department Sergeant Joseph Imperatrice, founder of Blue Lives Matter. Guys, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So a chief, a president of a union, I guess, and somebody who heads up Blue Lives Matter. These are no slouches. Let's see what they have to see.
Pat, as a police officer, do you feel like you have a target on your back? Because you look at these statistics and they're awful.
The statistics are sobering. They, we have this entire new generation that doesn't want to comply with lawful orders of the police. They think they can
Where'd that come from?
I'd like to think maybe some other stations, but you can't shoot your way out of a search warrant. These are.
So some new generation that thinks they don't have to obey the lawful orders of the police. Okay, well, I'm just going to take your words from your face and then try and define them via your definitions. Anyone who knows me knows that the word law means nothing more than the senior ranking bar member in the room, their opinion or conjecture as to what that might be. So basically what a judge's opinion is what the word law actually means in actual reality. You can't use some vague word called law and then say, oh, I'm giving you a lawful order, therefore you must comply no matter what because it's the law. We go to you and we say, what is the law that you're talking about? And what it comes down to is you're trying to enforce a statute or code. Well, you don't even call those laws. You call them statutes and codes. So why not use a more specific word? When you use the word law, we all know you're just trying to borrow off of the certainty and credibility of science. Science has laws. Justice systems do not. You have statutes and codes. So don't use the word law to us. It doesn't mean anything to us other than the arbitrary and corrupt opinion of a judge. And that's it. And for him to play silly, oh, I don't know what's going on, just new generation that thinks they don't have to obey. Why do you think we think that? Let's continue.
There are search warrants that where this officer was killed. They're well planned. They're well executed.
Well planned and well executed, as we saw down in Houston recently. All the details that have come out regarding that situation. Well planned and well executed. Well, there's executions going on, that's for sure. But planning is just the opinion of, a cop saying, hey, I've got an informer, and he says this, so I'm saying this, and I tell you I see bags of drugs, quote unquote, and guns in the room, they tell a judge that. Judge like, good enough for me, sign it off. No knock raid. Go arrest that guy. We're going to give you the authority to give orders to civilians and operate on the assumption that if they don't obey you immediately, they are breaking the law, and therefore you have the ability to arrest them, take them to jail, and ruin their life. I'm not going to spill my whole load right now. It gets better. By that I mean dumber. Here we go.
We have better training. We're better equipped, and you're not going to shoot your way out of it. You have to comply with the lawful orders of a police officer.
Okay, now let's reverse this here. Okay, I need to go a little deeper first. I'm hoping that at some point cops will hear this. That's really the point. So if I'm going over information you're already familiar with, sorry. All right. We're better trained and better equipped. Okay, so we got all the money and the toys that you don't, basically. All the surveillance, the blank check that the government can write us. And you're not going to shoot your way out of a search warrant, plain and simple. So let's turn it around. What happens if I had a bunch of goons with costumes with little shiny badges and stars and guns, and I had my own statutes and codes that were trying to inflict non-violent, victimless criminal charges against you, namely in the name of extortion of money to keep me comfortable in a monopoly of power, and I came to your house, knock, 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 and tried to arrest you, tried to search your home, invade your home, and everything that's inside it, and then possibly take you off to jail. What would you do if I did that to you? Well, I defend myself because you don't have the government on your side and I do, therefore you're wrong and I'm right. I just explained the exact same thing you're doing to us back at you. And you're saying, well, no, I work for the government. You don't. You would be a vigilante group. I am justice. It's the same actions. The only thing that's different is your opinion. The infliction of nonviolent victimless crimes for extortion, I just put that right back on you, and you're just sticking your fingers in your ears and your head in the sand going, la, 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 I'm right, you're wrong, because justice. You want to know why we don't like cops? Well, I'll say it here now. This guy says it later. He goes, oh, it started in the Obama administration, as if Obama had anything to do with it, or those 8 years had anything to do with it. Live streaming cell phones is what had everything to do with it. We're able to now capture the truth so you can't control the narrative and instantaneously stream it globally, worldwide. Stream it globally. The truth is now paramount to your narrative. Everyone knows. I mean, the recent Houston murders were a perfect example of how police control the story and lie through their teeth. Oh yeah, a 58-year-old white woman who's never committed a crime in her life, who's a long marriage and long-term homeownership, whose neighbors don't have anything bad to say about, went so gangster as to try and reach for a cop's shotgun to use against you, and that's why you had to kill her. You're all the same. If you were in Houston, you'd be obeying orders and spinning it however it came from the top how to spin. I don't take him seriously, right? Because I know that I believe he knows, and that he's just lying and pretending and playing stupid. Well, we don't know. We're the innocent victims here. Talking about the 7th cop killed in 2019, see, I'm totally indifferent to when cops get hurt and killed in the line of duty. I couldn't care less. Because I don't hate cops. I have an emotion far worse than hatred. I'm completely indifferent to them. If I saw one on fire, I wouldn't piss on him. I don't care. The reason why I don't hate you is because I don't fear you. I can handle all of you verbally, period, point blank. And I've got a camera, and you're not willing to get in trouble doing your domestic terrorism within my lens. There's nothing about a cop I have to be afraid of. I'm better than the lawyers and the judges you obey. You're nothing to me. Why would I take on a little foot soldier when there's a lieutenant general up above with a black robe? So I really don't even understand. I mean, I understand why people hate the police. It's because they fear them because they feel powerless over them. Well, if you know how to handle them verbally, you don't feel powerless over cops anymore. I mean, there's a slew of videos, not only on my channels, but on others. Hell, there's incidences that happen that aren't on videos. I mean, I took on one of those goons with a suit and little earpiece in the federal court building in Arizona with James. That's not on video anywhere, but I ruined that guy. Trolled him, dared him to do anything about it, and told him to maintain his bearing, and his buddies had to pull him away. Like, this is child's play to me. It's a piece of cake. I don't hate you. I'm indifferent to you. But if I see you out in the street doing something, anything, I know it's not in the best interest of the people you claim to protect and serve, and I'm going to film it. This is just part of what I got to say. Let me go on with the rest.
Joe, what's going on? Have we just become such a violent society, or is it people think they can shoot their way out of it, or they don't respect police anymore, or what?
We don't respect police because we know what you do. We know you for what you are. We see what you do on live streams. You hide cameras. You don't wear cameras. Hell, I spent 6.5 years on the big island of Hawaii. They don't even have cop cameras. We know what you do. You can't hide it. Oh, you can hide it to the sheep who also put their head in the sand, who pay their taxes out of extortion, and they're brainwashed enough to salute the flag and stand for the government song. But you can't fool clear-thinking, rational, reasonable, peaceful people who don't want to be ruled over by bribed thugs. You're a legalized gang. That's it. Society would be better off if you were all fired today. Yeah, there'd be rumblings going on for a while, but people would figure it out real quick that if there's no cops around and people have guns, which they do in this country more than any other, any kind of theft, breaking and entering, violence can be met with problems you don't want. The police are never there in time to save you anyway. Never. You have to survive what's happening to you, and then they come afterwards.
We've spoken about this before. It's accountability. We have 7 officers shot and killed in the line of duty, 15 total in 1 month. And
Good.
my organization held a fundraiser for Ronald Singh last night. And we had several NYPD families and widows and kids, and they all have the same reaction as we wish we could trade all this back, all the support that we love, just to have our loved one back. They don't get a second chance.
Yeah.
I believe.
Look, man, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Okay? You marry a cop, you're just up there for the status and the power of it. We all know that they are first-class citizens and everyone else is a second-class citizen in comparison. Oh, I married a cop. Oh, he's powerful, therefore I'm powerful. Oh, he has status, and he can, kind of do things that are wrong and be covered by prosecutors and judges and the thin blue line. Ooh, now I'm powerful. That's ignorance. You're ignoring what is coming instinctively to you, that cops do some messed up stuff. I don't need the police to protect me. I have called 911 a couple of times while I was in Hawaii. You know what that call sounded like? I'm calling to inform you that I'm about to defend myself against this, and I'm not going to go to jail for this. So I know this is being recorded, and it may be played in a courtroom one day. You've got about 5 minutes to get here before I solve my own problem. This is your first and only warning. Any questions? We don't need the police.
I believe we got to put the fear of God into these individuals that think it's okay to pull a trigger.
The fear of God? So now you're referencing this entity upon which there's no factual evidence to rely upon to be assured of its existence. And now we want you to fear us. We want to put fear, the highest form of fear, into those we claim to protect and serve so they don't dare pull a trigger against us. Guess what? If somebody's capable of pulling a gun on a cop and shooting, they don't care about your words or your laws or your punishments. They don't care. If they're having such a bad day that it's come to that, they aren't going to care. If you go, especially for drug war crimes, which are nonviolent, victimless crimes, if people want to use drugs, that's fine. If people want to buy drugs, that's fine. As long as they're not harming anyone else. You go in there with comply or die. Obey me or I'll murder you. How many of you have come back from kicking in doors after 18 years of a war of choice in the Middle East? How many? These people have already crossed that psychological line, and when you do that, you become extremely dangerous if you don't have crazy PTSD over it. You can come home and hold a job like being a cop. These are just some of the many reasons why we don't respect you, why we talk trash to you, why many of us hate you, why we wish bad things would happen to you, why we smile when they do, why we are completely indifferent to you, why we would never help or assist you in any way, shape, or form. You steal from us over nothing. You are made to obey laws, quote unquote, that have gone too far, and you do nothing about it. I wish I had this tab pulled up recently. A sheriff was recently in the news saying, this law came down, I'm being asked to support it and enforce it, and it's basically breaking the Second Amendment. I'm not going to take these people's guns. The sheriff said, nope, sorry, I'm not going to do it. None of you do that. You just obey. Hey, I want to get my paycheck and my pension, so F everyone else except me. Well, you're going to pay the price for that. You're paying it now, and you're going to pay for it more heavily in the future. You can't stick your head in the sand in 2019 with live streaming cameras everywhere and think this is going to be the same old police work as it has been decades gone by. And by the way, the more decades you go back in history, the worse your brutality was, because it was harder and harder and harder to hold you accountable for your actions with full transparency. Two words that you can't stand. I see this on Fox News, and it doesn't make me angry. I'm just like, just like, what a liar, what a liar. Either you're an idiot or you're a liar. Pick one. Probably both. You want to know? I'm telling you. This is why I've hung out with activists all over the spectrum. I am like none of them. I have never met another one like me. And I'm telling you the many reasons why we don't give a shit. I think all of you deserve to be fired at best. The quote-unquote best cop on the planet should just be fired. All the way to jailed for God knows how many years while you work to compensate your many victims, which will never be possible. And some of you deserve to die because some of you have murdered people and gotten away with it. Some human beings on this planet do not deserve to be alive. Newsflash. And some of them are cops. You enforce rules that equate to domestic terrorism. You control nearly every aspect of our lives. The government is too big. It involves itself too deeply. Family courts, child custody cases alone would be enough to justify what I'm saying. When false allegations come up and there's no presumption of innocence, who enforces that? Cops. The entire drug war, a failed venture just to maintain power and keep alcohol and tobacco in the market instead of healthier alternatives? Cops enforce that. They want to steal your property. The house that you own because you couldn't pay property taxes. Who does that? People with badges and guns. Sheriffs and cops. These people have the audacity to question, oh, I don't know, I got a target on my back, but I don't know why they hate me. Oh, these bad people, they don't respect me anymore. Hiccup. Like, what a joke.
And let them know that it's not okay, because if our officers can't have a second chance, neither should you.
Yeah. Chief, speaking of fear, though, there are a lot of police officers who are afraid to wear their uniform away from work. You know, they don't want to wear it at home because they feel like they're a target.
I'm not saying they should be a target, but they shouldn't feel comfortable wearing that uniform. You shouldn't. It's the uniform of a coward and a legalized gangbanger. We don't own a cat. Cat. There's a cat outside. What the heck? Yeah, they shouldn't feel comfortable wearing the uniform.
Yeah, that's true. And it's very unfortunate. But but unfortunately it's the reality of the times today. There is so little respect in some quarters. This was really engendered beginning in the Obama era, and frankly, a lot of folks believe that it was contributed to. Fortunately, President Trump is going out of his way to show us respect and trying to support us.
There was a clip where he said this started with Obama. It started with technology, fool. If you represent cops, don't you think you should be in some kind of reasonable physical shape? This man has no discipline. He eats what he wants, and he doesn't even work out. How much does he drink? If you're trying to be an example, you're representing police, shouldn't you have the discipline to maintain some sort of healthy physique? I mean, because when you get that overweight, you just get more scary to peaceful people, because you're not fit enough to handle a situation physically. You just have 30 seconds before you gas out, and then you're screwed. So you're quicker to go to your deadly weapon. Hit a gym, for crying out loud.
But I think a lot of the damage has been done.
What do you mean it got started in the Obama years?
Well, honestly, that's when the narrative began that we noticed most recently. There was a noted lack of respect. A guy that gets arrested in Boston is having beers with the president in the White House. That's a problem.
Last I checked, there's a presumption of innocence, right? Just because someone's arrested doesn't mean they're guilty. End of story. As we all know. Hell, I got arrested last summer in Texas, and all charges were dismissed within 12 hours, meaning the judge said he didn't do anything wrong, let him go. So just because you get arrested doesn't mean anything. So he got arrested, so what? Now he's having beers in the White House, so what? These cops don't believe in the presumption of innocence. They don't believe in that in the slightest. This is not a free country. And it's the cops that keep it from being such.
Dramatic situation. It all starts at the top. It all starts with our elected leaders. And really, at this...
There's another lie, because it starts with judges. It starts with... Elected leaders just draft and pass legislation. It's the judges who interpret it and put it into effect and issue orders that these armed thugs follow. It's the judges.
Point. It's very difficult for us in law enforcement leadership to continue to encourage our people to just continue to wear what you've described as a target, and many people feel the same way.
Oh, so cops have the target on their back. I see. I see how that works. Let's look at this. How many Americans do the cops kill each year? This is Newsweek. This is a government website. This is mainstream media. This is their side talking, right? Interesting little tidbit. How many people are killed by police? It's a simple and important question, but until this year, the shocking answer was we have no idea. There's no central authority systematically keeping track of killings by law enforcement, and police in most states are not required to report the use of lethal force to anyone. The FBI's annual crime report does keep track of homicides reported by police as justified killings by police, as defined by the FBI. Quote, justifiable homicide by law enforcement, close quote, means, quote, the killing of a felon by a peace officer in the line of duty, close quote. What if he's off duty? What if he's not a felon? What if he's presumed innocent, hasn't committed any crime? From 2000 to 2014, the FBI reported an average of 390 justifiable homicides by police each year, with a very slight but erratic upward trend. The obvious question was, how many unjustifiable killings were committed by law enforcement? There is no report for that at all. Unjustified homicides by police would, in theory, be recorded as generic murders. Moreover, because police departments themselves decide what is justifiable, there's plenty of room for doubt about whether all those homicides really were justified, or whether police actually reported all of their killings. I wonder why we don't like the police. 2016, over 1,000 people killed. These are real faces. This is not just a number. Are all of them justified? And if they're not, are the cops murdering people? They're worried about the 7th cop being killed this year. They kill over 1,000 civilians every year. How many of them are not justified? How many of them have video camera surveillance to go with the killing? Not in Houston, apparently. This is just December. Notice how heavily they are male faces. Gee, wonder why. Well, males commit more violent crime. Cops are more afraid of males. Okay? You put a man with a knife threatening, cop's going to shoot him. A woman with a knife threatening, probably going to walk back up a couple steps, probably going to hesitate a little bit, try to offer another option. Just saying. 2017, from policeviolencereport.org. Okay, this is just for 2017. 1,147 people killed by police in 2017. One for every square. All right. 92% were killed by police shootings. Taser, physical force, and police vehicles accounted for most other deaths. Officers were charged with the crime in only 13 of the cases. 1%. 13 out of well over 1,000. Every other one was justified? No one believes that. 9 of these 13 cases had video evidence. Most of these videos were captured by police body and dash cameras. Shouldn't it be illegal for a cop to not have an active video stream going, especially when confronting danger, especially when executing search warrants that they've planned? Shouldn't it be illegal for them to not have their video cameras on in 2019? We were able to identify officers in 569 cases. Can't identify the officers in all the rest. At least 48 had shot or killed someone before. 12 had multiple prior shootings. How many of these have shot people while serving, quote unquote, the military? How many? Great website, great website. 149 people killed by police were unarmed. Salon.com. 1,129 people in 2017, but that's not the full body count. Despite public scrutiny, police brutality is as deadly as ever and often doesn't end with the first victim. 12 charged for the crime. Statista.com. Here's some more stats broken down by ethnicity. Doesn't take long to search this out. Here's the constant climb through the months, all the way up to 1,000 for all different years. Anyone who's watched the movie Snowden knows that in this country there exist top secret courts and secret judges making secret rulings. You think top secret only has to do with military matters? I beg to differ. Yes, there are top secret courts and secret judges making secret rulings. Okay, so this is by the Washington Post from 2018. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court is not exactly a place where journalists or members of the public can drop in and check out the latest hot case. The super secretive court, which sits on the 3rd floor of the E. Barrett Prettyman? What a name. Prettyman Federal Courthouse in downtown Washington, is housed in a secure vault of reinforced concrete and thick wood and metal doors. It's here where the Justice Department and the FBI conduct some of their most highly classified business, requesting judicial permissions to eavesdrop on the phone calls or email communications of U.S. citizens suspected of terrorism or espionage. No sign proclaims the title of the court outside its doors, but there are at least 3 conspicuous clues mounted next to the entrance that can tip people off that something major transpires behind those walls. There is a placard that says access restricted, a biometric palm scanner, and an electronic cipher lock where judges and their staff must enter a code. The court's existence has never been a secret since it was established 40 years ago by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which required that the government obtain warrants to eavesdrop on Americans in national security cases. Read on, read on, read on. New York Times, 2013. A federal judge sharply rebuked the National Security Agency in 2011 for repeatedly misleading the court that oversees its surveillance on domestic soil, including a program that is collecting tens of thousands of domestic emails and other internet communications of Americans each year, according to a secret ruling made public on Wednesday. The 85-page ruling by Judge John D. Bates, then serving as chief judge on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, that, of all the judges, these are the worst. These are the worst of the worst. I mean, imagine the rulings that are going on. You wonder why Twitter does what it does? You wonder why YouTube does what it does? Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of them. You wonder why they do why they're so slanted. You wonder? No business owner would run Twitter the way Twitter is being ran if they were interested in maximizing profit. or if it was a publicly traded company, any interest in the profitability to stockholders. They certainly wouldn't run with a left-leaning, liberal, feminized agenda. This court involved an NSA program that systematically searches the contents of Americans' international internet communications without a warrant in a hunt for discussions about foreigners who have been targeted for surveillance. The Justice Department had told Judge Bates that NSA officials had discovered that the program was also been gathering domestic messages for 3 years. Judge Bates found that the agency had violated the Constitution and declared the problems part of a pattern of misrepresentation by agency officials in submissions to the secret court. The release of the ruling, the subject of a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit, was the latest effort by the Obama administration to gain control over revelations about NSA surveillance prompted by leaks by the former agency contractor Edward J. Snowden. So cops, part of the reason you obey judges. And judges have ruled people for how many centuries now? No matter where you go, it's the same damn thing. Judges, judges, judges. Where the rubber meets the road. From the infliction of the violence onto the individual, it happens at the level of a judge or a magistrate somewhere, somehow. And you obey their orders without question and without power, without a conscience, only with a paycheck and a pension, and a little pretty power-hungry wife, usually. Gee, I don't know why these guys don't like us, man. This emerging disrespect for the police. It must have something to do with Obama. Good thinking, genius.
Pat, how do we fix it?
Well, you change the narrative. People have to learn that there's a lawful order from a police officer. You have to comply.
Why? Let's talk about that. You have to comply. They're trying to... I know this. I've done this in courts. What I'm claiming here is from experience. They're calling it lawful, but they're trying to enforce a statute or a code. Okay, now, don't you think that if those statutes or codes applied to us, that the government would be making that claim, these apply to you because of reason X? Don't you think they'd be making that claim? They don't. I've asked them 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000 different judges. Not a one of them had an answer for me. The military answers that question. If you ask the military, hey, why are you trying to apply this UCMJ to me? Here's the paperwork that you signed saying you'd voluntarily enter under the rules of the UCMJ. Therefore, we are fit to impose upon you and prosecute you to see if you're guilty or not. Military answers it. Military is the police department's twin stepsister. That's how silly it is. So why doesn't the civilian side? Because any answer they could give me would not withstand the test of logic, never mind ethics. For sure they'd be relying on logical fallacies, which means they're lying. They're inconsistent. Your statutes and codes don't apply, Mr. Cop, because you don't have consent of the governed. And if you had any real fluency in legalese, which they won't give you because you'll get you'll have a problem with your conscience sometimes, you would know that. But you don't know that. Mr. Law Enforcement Officer, which is Mr. Judge's Opinion Enforcement Officer. Your statutes and codes don't apply. Okay? It's completely illogical and unethical to turn your lights and sirens on for someone going 10 miles over the speed limit on a dry, sunny day so you can collect a fine. To pull them over with comply or we're going to wreck your car and give you a felony and ruin your life type threat. To coerce them to pull over and then approach them from the rear, armed to the teeth, plus your coward button that'll bring help if you need it. How would you like it if someone did that to you for their made-up rules when they don't give a reason why they apply to you? Well, you're not being practical, man. This is a pragmatic issue. You don't live in the real world. We've got to obey against it. We don't need you. You know how fast private security would pop up if all the cops are fired tomorrow? Do you have any idea how fast private security, from the level of, hey, my neighbor Bubba doesn't have a job. Hey, man, can you just watch my house? Here, I'll give you a gun. Anybody comes around, you fire a warning shot first, and hopefully that'll make them run away. Do you have any idea how quickly private security would pop up? No one would be kicked out of their house for not being able to pay property taxes. Government would have to be much, much smaller. Legalize violence. We don't even know what it feels like to live in a free country. Oh, how can you say that? Do you know how many worse countries are in the world? You ungrateful, spoiled brat. You just don't even know how good you have it. oh, okay, so I'm supposed to feel good about eating this shit sandwich because there are diarrhea and there are puke sandwiches in other places. So a shit sandwich tastes mighty better than a puke sandwich, right? We don't know what freedom feels like. You don't even know the pain that you're in because it's become normal, like the fish doesn't know what water is. These people are not supposed to be prowling around, threatening everyone over nonviolent victimless criminal charges. They don't have a duty to protect you. The Supreme Court says they have no obligation to protect you. You're being forced to pay taxes thinking you're getting some services in return. You're not getting anything from the cops. And if you're white, alpha-oriented, straight, male, you're the lowest on the totem pole compared to, in their minds. Because we can think. We can just out-talk them. We can embarrass them in their own building with their own rule book when they've got all the jail cells and they've disarmed us before we even came in. I don't even think half of them know it. Maybe most of them don't even know it. They're just, I'm a cop. I got a double-digit IQ because if it was triple, I wouldn't be able to have this job. Oh, it's the only thing I could possibly do. I'm not skilled in any other way. If it wasn't this, I'd be making minimum wage, so I got to be a cop. Oh, I've been in it for 5 years or 15. I got to get my pension. I'm back from killing people with the military, getting little shiny medals and pieces of cloth for it. Like that's a good trade. Ugh. You don't like this quote-unquote target on your back? Quit. Because as soon as you quit, boy, you're not going to get any flack from me. You quit, you're an ex-cop, I ain't got nothing to say to you. Not even about your past, as messed up as it is.
You just can't, like I said, you can't shoot your way out of a situation.
Are they simply not afraid of the consequences?
I think when you look at the general media, I think they're empowered, like the chief said.
So the people who are in shootout with cops have been empowered by the general media? What kind of answer is that? What kind of answer is that? People who actually shoot at cops are, way out there. Right or wrong, they are on the edge. You think, I'm going to make a tougher law. That'll stop them. If they've got nothing to lose, okay? That's empowerment by the general media. This guy, what a joke.
Not a suspect would never get beer with the president.
The so-called beer summit.
Beer summit.
Boy, they're pissed off about that beer summit, man. Woo, they're pissed.
So we have to change the narrative. I mean, the officer in Milwaukee, hero in Iraq, 3 tours, survives IED attacks, comes home and gets shot on the streets of Milwaukee.
If people from Iraq came over to America and did to him and his community and his state what he is doing to them, he would also plant IEDs on the side of the road. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. You're not right because you have stars and stripes on your shoulder. I should know. I was one of them. He's not a hero, okay? He's a fool who was brainwashed into thinking he was some kind of noble servant of people back here. You're not protecting anyone back here by being engaged in an endless war over there. A war of choice over increasingly irrelevant resources. Oh, what a hero. Oh, what a wasted life. What a completely brainwashed and wasted life.
Third officer in 8 months in Milwaukee.
I know, Joe, you come from a family of law enforcement. Does it feel to you like the level of respect the general public has for the men and women who wear the uniform has changed during your lifetime?
I do, but there are a lot of good people out there that do respect police officers, a lot of people.
Right.
But the problem is it's the small majority that's causing these large problems, and it feels like it's costing officers their lives. Now, we got to go out there.
What does that mean, the small majority? Could you be more vague? What does that mean, the small majority? I'll tell you this. As one of few activists who has pointed cameras at cops and recorded judges, I couldn't be happier that this problem is getting bigger and bigger for you, and that more and more people are becoming aware of the truth. That you're enforcing statutes and codes that are completely corrupt and unfair and unethical and unjust over men, women, and children, getting involved in romantic relationships, inflicting a heinous drug war upon us because of statutes and codes you don't even give a reason as to why they apply to us. You don't even give a reason as to why they apply to us, other than might makes right. Be quiet or I'll hold you in contempt. And you wonder why.
There, we got to push back, just like Fox. You put it out there and you inform people about these officers, which is huge. And we have to let people know that officers are human beings at the end of the day. They have lives, they matter, and this has to stop.
The president.
Are they human beings? They're human. If they don't like it, they can quit. We're not going to quit. You're getting paid to do this. You would never be a cop for free. Never. Nobody would ever be a cop for free. But we're doing this for free. And we're getting bigger. And this problem's getting bigger and bigger and bigger because for the first time in human history, you don't control the narrative, do you? The truth is recorded and broadcast globally instantly. That's a problem for you. It's a big problem for you. And you're freaking out because you don't know what to do about it. You don't even know if someone's peeping around the corner or looking out a window, recording you when you're outside dealing with someone. Hidden transparency and accountability must freak a lot of you out.
The president has made it very clear there's a national emergency at our southern border. Aside from the human trafficking and the illegal migration, he's also talked about the wave of drugs that are killing people, hundreds each and every week.
Of all the overdoses on drugs that are fatal, prescribed opiates account for half. A legalized drug dealer called a pharmacist gives people opiates in the name of pain relief when there are definitely safer alternatives. And people get hooked on that stuff beyond badly, obviously. Half of all overdose deaths are caused by legal prescriptions. That is not the drug war. Go look at Portugal, see what happened to their problem when they stopped the drug war altogether. It's a hustle. You're all liars. You're enforcing a scam, and it makes society worse and worse and worse. How much crime is committed that wouldn't have been committed if the perpetrator had not been sent to prison over a nonviolent victimless criminal charge and became more violent while in prison? Have you been the victim of a crime which would have been completely avoided if the perpetrator had never been sent to prison over a nonviolent victimless criminal charge? Do they keep track of that stat? No. What we need are more jails and more cops, more taxes coming in. Raise your property taxes.
How big a problem are the drugs regarding what we're talking about? Chief, real quick.
It's an enormous problem. In my small town in South Jersey, we've made 3 major seizures in the last 4 or 5 months. 2 of them were a pound apiece. When you look at that...
A pound of what? Because cannabis is helpful, not harmful. So a pound of what? It matters. Oh, a pound each. Oh. Other countries handle their drug problem much better. Look at what they're doing and copy what they're doing. If you're not looking for the best solution, it's blatantly obvious that you're complicit in the domestic terrorism known as the drug war. A person can't even be left alone with their cannabis. You won't even let us manage our own mindset, our own sobriety. You won't let us experiment in new ideas and new thoughts and new inspirations that may come from the use of something like cannabis or other psychedelics. Oh no, oh hell no. That's Schedule 1. That's as bad as cocaine, crack, and heroin. Oh no. Like, we see right through you. I don't even know why you pretend anymore. You should just come out and be like, yeah, we're in power and you're not, and that's the way it's going to be. Okay? Because I feel about you the way the French civilians must have felt about occupying German Nazi soldiers. That's pretty much what you are to me. Every time I see one of you guys pulling someone over, I feel bad for them. Every time I see you driving somewhere, I hope you get in a crash and take no one else out with you. I hope you kill yourselves. I hope your wives leave you. I hope your children abandon you, because you deserve all of this, because you're a horrible, horrible person. Whether you know it or not is irrelevant. The evidence is everywhere. You should know this. Anyway, I've been going on for long enough. I'm going to end the stream. Take care of the dog. You'll see more comments in the comments section. See ya.